A woman spends 8 years trapped in a marriage where she's merely a copy of her husband's first love. But when his ex returns, she faces heartbreak, betrayal, and a tragic twist that rewrites their entire past. Can she escape the shadow of a lie? Chapter 1. Chun Yi-jing's first love returned. So I personally ended all those years of trepidation and fear. I was afraid of her return. I was afraid of him leaving me. And now all my fears have come true. 4 years of university, 4 years of marriage. Chun Yi-jing and I spent 8 years together, the most beautiful years of a woman's life. He said I looked like his ex-girlfriend, especially my eyes, round and bright. On this premise, he said he wanted to date me, and I agreed. I always knew he didn't love me, so I was afraid. It was already afternoon by the time we finished the divorce procedures, and I packed my luggage. He offered to call a moving company for me, but I shook my head. All I wanted to take were a few clothes and cosmetics. He stood at the door, seemingly wanting to say something, but thankfully, I spoke first. Don't say sorry. It's the most useless phrase in the world. After saying that, I picked up my suitcase and left, thinking I was being quite dignified. Within a few days, I was ignominiously admitted to the hospital. Heartbroken, I had no appetite. I'm anemic and prone to fainting. When I woke up, I saw Chun Yi-jing by my bedside, cutting fruit. My heart leaped with joy, then with alarm. Awake, I nodded. Didn't you say you had a place to stay? Why are you in a hotel? It's a good thing the cleaning lady found you. You know your own body. You have to eat. He looked particularly radiant. I seemed to see in his face the way he looked 11 years ago. So youthful, so sunny, so vibrant. It was probably because he was in love with his sweetheart from 11 years ago. Xiangling, we're divorced. I don't want us to be entangled forever. His thin lips moved. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating his profile. His fair skin shimmered, his high nose bridge prominent, and his captivating peach blossom eyes were filled with indifference. I nodded again, then smiled. I couldn't utter a word, as if I had lost my voice. I was afraid that if I opened my mouth, the bitterness in my chest would erupt into a torrent of tears. He carefully placed the sliced apples onto a plate and stuck toothpicks in them. This is the last time. Chun Yi-jing is a doctor, so he's a bit of a neat freak. For instance, he can't eat apple peels, and I'm the lazy type who always munches on a whole apple. Over time, he couldn't stand it anymore and would cut them up for me, which gradually became habit. Also, because he's a doctor, that's why he was there when I was hospitalized. He works here. I looked at the sweet and delicious apples, but had no appetite. I also saw a tall, beautiful woman waiting outside the door. I closed my eyes, pretending to rest, signaling him to leave. He went out, and through the small glass window on the door, I saw him affectionately pinch the woman's face. I'd seen the woman's photo on Chun Yi-jing's old phone. Her eyes really did resemble mine. The only difference was the shape of our faces. She had a sharp V-shaped face, while mine was a rounder, baby face. The phone on the bedside table rang incessantly. It was Chun Yi-jing's mother. Hello, Mom. We hadn't told them about the divorce yet, because both of them have high blood pressure, and Chun Yi-jing was afraid of upsetting them. Xiangling, are you and Yi-jing not home? I've been ringing the doorbell for ages. My mind went blank. Mom, what did you say? Your father and I took the train here. We're at your door. Why aren't you home this weekend? A bad premonition spread through me, but I pretended to be calm. Chun Yi-jing has surgery today, and I'm out shopping. I'll be back soon, Mom. Just wait a little while. I'll be quick. After hanging up, I pulled out the 4-needle, grabbed my bag, and ran out. At the end of the corridor, Chun Yi-jing was talking to the woman, laughing happily. Perhaps the way I was running was too comical. The nurses around me were all staring. Chun Yi-jing, he frowned and pulled me into a corner, away from the gazes of others. Of course, the woman was still standing beside us. What are you doing running out here? Your 4 isn't finished, and you haven't eaten anything. What if you faint again? No, something important came up. Mom and Dad are here, at the door. I became anxious. You didn't do anything to the house, did you? I told them you had work today. I'll go back first. Do you want to come back together? You go back first. I'll be there in half an hour. As I left, I saw the woman looking down at me with disdain. I didn't feel anything. After all, she'd always been the winner all these years. When Chun Yijing returned, Mom and I were busy cooking in the kitchen. What are you cooking? Chinese medicine. Chun Yijing took off his jacket, changed into slippers, and walked into the kitchen, frowning. You haven't had any children yet, and neither of you has any health problems, so I brought some tonics for you. Mom said this with a beaming expression. Dad, who was watching TV in the living room, added, drink it properly. Don't let your mother's efforts go to waste. I smiled awkwardly. Chun Yijing and I would never have children in this lifetime. Mom, we have plans. We don't need to drink this. Chun Yijing looked at the pot of dark liquid with a sense of helplessness. You're both 28 and still not having children. It's dangerous for Xiang Ling to have children when she's older. You're a doctor. Don't you know that? We will have them. We've planned it all out. Then tell me about your plan. Chun Yijing was speechless. He mumbled, I'm going to take a shower, and escaped. I was trying to suppress my laughter when Mom turned the question to me. Startled, I made up another excuse. Oh, I was tidying the closet this morning, and Chun Yijing doesn't know where the underwear is. I'll go find it for him. And like a gust of wind, I disappeared into the bedroom. Chun Yijing, who was undressing, jumped at my sudden appearance, while I was startled by the bedroom itself. My favorite Hello Kitty bedsheets had been replaced with plain white ones, and on those sheets lay a conspicuous pair of black lace underwear. I looked down at the black fluffy slippers on my feet and realized they weren't my old ones. This pair was brand new. The wedding photos that I had placed everywhere were gone, replaced by beautiful fresh flowers and elegant individual portraits, artistic photos of that woman. So they were already that intimate. So that was the meaning of the woman's disdainful look. Chun Yijing quickly grabbed the underwear and tossed it into a drawer. I don't think you'll mind. I seem to have lost my voice again. I glanced at him, and surprisingly, I saw panic in his eyes. Mother Chin was calling my name outside, so I turned and walked out, my feet feeling like they were weighted down with iron balls, making each step difficult. Xiang Ling, I almost forgot. Didn't you say you liked my braised dried bamboo shoots with pork last time? I specially dried some new bamboo shoots. You must eat more later. Oh, by the way, where are your bowls and dishes? Aren't they in the upper cabinets? I looked at the large bag of dried bamboo shoots Mom had brought out, and my mood improved somewhat. But after searching in the cabinets for a long time, I couldn't find a single bowl or plate. I figured she must have thrown them away. What a pity. That set of dishes was bought last year when Chun Yijing and I went to Japan. It cost several thousand yuan. What a pity, several thousand yuan. Chun Yijing, after showering, suggested we eat out, but Mother Chin refused, complaining about the expense of restaurants, and insisted that he and I go buy new dishes. Chun Yijing and I had been to the supermarket countless times. Every time, I would link my arm through his, wanting to declare to all the women around that he was mine, because he was really too handsome, and there were always brazen women trying to get close to him. He would quietly push the cart, laughing at me for clinging to him like a koala. This time, he walked on the left, still pushing the cart, while I walked on the right, heading straight for the tableware section. Let's buy a cheaper set. They'll just get thrown away eventually, I said. He picked up a few plates and suddenly looked at me, saying apologetically, the Japanese set wasn't intentionally thrown away. Xiaoyan broke them while learning to cook. It's good that they broke. It's more like us. I forgot to mention that the set of dishes was custom-made, a couple's set printed with my and Chun Yijing's names and my beloved Hello Kitty. Xiang Ling, I'll explain things to my parents when I have time. I won't trouble you anymore. I shrugged indifferently, pointing to the bedding section. Can you buy me a new set? And slippers, too. Mother Chun is a great cook, like a 5-star chef to me, especially her braised dried bamboo shoots with pork. It's absolutely divine. Unfortunately, before dinner, Chun Yijing and I were forced to drink half a pot of tonic each, leaving us with no appetite for anything else. Enduring the feeling of being stuffed to the point of not being able to bend over, I spread out the quilt and sheets on the floor, then lay on my back, staring at the ceiling. That's when I noticed that my favorite crystal chandelier had also been replaced. Chen Yijing's male ego kicked in again. You sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. I burped and let out a long sigh. I just want to sleep in a clean bed. In the middle of the night, I suddenly felt like I was burning up. I kicked off the covers, but I still felt hot. I vaguely felt my pajamas were soaked with sweat. I heard Chen Yijing tossing and turning, and the sound of his deep breaths. Chen Yijing, am I running a fever? I feel so hot. No, then I must be hallucinating. As soon as I finished speaking, he picked me up and placed me on the bed. The burning sensation made me feel weak, like I had no strength even to climb off the bed. He said, Xiangling, I'm sorry. In the endless darkness, I saw his pupils like sparks scattered across the sky, burning hot, but his kisses never landed on my lips. I bit my lip hard and closed my eyes, but I still couldn't control the tears that surged forth. For the first time, sleeping with Chen Yijing felt painful. When it wasn't consensual, when the marriage was broken, when he had slept with that woman. Chapter 2. When I woke up the next day, there was no one beside me. After showering and coming out, Mother Chun had made a huge spread of food again, saying with a beaming smile, Eat more, nourish yourself. Looking at the fragrant food, I felt both greedy and apprehensive. Last night, Chen Yijing's intense arousal wasn't unrelated to that tonic. Mom, I won't eat. My colleague just called saying there's something at the cafe they can't handle. I need to go take a look. My good friend Su Ming and I co-own a cafe, and the income is decent. I remember that initial investment came from Chen Yijing, but I can afford to pay back that 100,000 or so now, and now that I've left him, I won't end up on the streets. Where's Su Ming? I asked the cashier. Boss Su is upstairs chatting with a guest. She's probably chatting about life with some rich second generation again. Who can blame her with that beautiful face? Oh, there she is. That's her. As soon as Su Ming saw me, she beamed, pulling me to sit down opposite the man, excitedly saying, Mr. Run, this is her. What do you think? Beautiful, right? I gave Su Ming a sideways glance. She seemed to be signaling something to me with her eyes, but I didn't understand. The Mr. Ren was in a suit and tie, and his features were quite handsome, refined, and clean-cut. Hello, I'm Ren Yunxian. The corners of my mouth curved into a professional smile. Hello, I'm Yu Xiangling. Are we discussing business? Is he investing or something? I whispered in Su Ming's ear. She burst into laughter again. What business? This is a blind date. I looked at her in astonishment. Even the ever-popular Su Ming has to resort to blind dates. Look how startled you are. So are you satisfied? I think she's quite lovely. The man seemed quite suitable for Su Ming. Ren Yunxian's lips curled slightly. Miss you, I'm quite satisfied with you as well. Boom, a bolt from the blue. He was being introduced to me. I was still tossing and turning under Chen Yijing last night. And today I'm supposed to put on a charming and innocent act for another man. I'm not Chen Yijing. I can't do it. Mr. Ren, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not looking for a blind date, and I've only been divorced a short while. I don't have any plans to remarry or date for the time being. I know, but I hope we can stay in touch. I hope you won't feel pressured. No problem. I fell silent for a moment, then felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. I got up to leave, but Mr. Ren insisted on seeing me out. I felt burdened, but I had just said, no problem. Where are you going? Sitting in the passenger seat, I sighed, anywhere. I heard women love to go shopping. Do you want to go browse? It might lift your spirits. Will you pay? I joked. Ren Yunxian agreed seriously. He was completely different from Chen Yijing. He would stand in front of rows of women's clothing, carefully selecting and then earnestly giving his opinions. Of course, by the time I was agonizing over which item to buy, he had already paid for everything. He said, whether it looks good or not is in the eye of the beholder. It's not important. As long as you're happy with your purchase, that's all that matters. I felt a pang of sadness. Why was Chen Yijing never willing to accompany me shopping? Why was he always so impatient whenever we went, as if stepping into a women's clothing store was a disgrace? Do you need perfume? I shook my head. I have mild rhinitis, but I still couldn't resist stopping at the Chanel counter, gazing longingly at the beautiful perfume bottles. Ren Yunxian smiled, like a gentle spring breeze. You're so adorable. I think so too, I replied cheekily. As I turned to leave the counter, I bumped into two people, Chun Yijing and that woman. He was tightly gripping her hand, as if holding the rarest treasure in the world. Before I could say anything, Chun Yijing stared at me and asked, "Who is he?" I stammered for a long time, unable to explain clearly. I just couldn't explain it. But Chun Yijing seemed to think I was being evasive and mocked me inexplicably. "You move pretty fast." I blinked and pulled Run Yunxian away. "Your ex-husband?" "Yes." "And the one next to him is his new girlfriend?" "No, it's the woman he's always loved deeply." Rin Yunxian handed me the juice the waiter had brought, asking puzzledly, "Then why did you get married if he didn't love you? And you knew he didn't love you?" I found a seat and sat down. "Because I loved him. If I had let him go then, I would have regretted it, even more than I do now." "I see. Actually, we had a pretty good life these past few years. We've reached this point amicably." After chatting for a while, I looked at the bags, big and small, and suddenly felt a pang of guilt. "We've only bought things for me. You haven't gotten anything. Come on, let me pick something out for you too." "Okay." The third floor was the brand-name menswear area. Passing by the Versace store, I heard a woman crying inside. Glancing in casually, I saw the woman sobbing, hitting Chun Yijing's chest repeatedly. She was questioning him. "Why did you sleep with her? Why did you betray me?" My jaw dropped in astonishment. It turns out Chun Yijing was quite the hidden player, with flowers blooming everywhere. Chun Yijing saw me too. His gaze made me shudder. He said to the woman, "It's getting late. I need to go back. Be good, go home yourself. I'll see you tomorrow." Then he walked straight towards me. Rin Yunxian naturally placed his hand on my shoulder as if declaring some kind of ownership. "You Xiangling, we should go home." I looked at the woman behind me, then at Chun Yijing. My eyes suddenly reddened. "Home? Who's home? You go back first. I haven't picked out clothes for Mr. Rin yet." I don't know what nerve Chun Yijing struck, but he grabbed my wrist and pulled me away so hard that the bags I was carrying slipped from my grasp and scattered on the floor. But he didn't stop. I had to shout to Rin Yunxian, "Mr. Rin, could you please pick those up for me? I'll come find you tomorrow." I saw Rin Yunxian make an okay sign. "Chun Yijing, what are you doing? It hurts. Let go." He stopped abruptly, turning around to glare at me like a beast about to explode, his eyes bloodshot. "When did you meet that man?" "This afternoon. I really underestimated you. You're quite good at seducing men." "Seducing? Chun Yijing, is there something wrong with your brain? Maybe you should go get it checked. Even if I seduced every man in the world, what business is it of yours?" He stammered for a while, but didn't say anything, then dragged me away angrily again. I'd rarely seen him lose his temper, almost never. Back home, he threw a tantrum, slamming the bedroom door. I scoffed, sat on the sofa with my legs crossed, and watched Princess purr with my parents. "What's wrong with Yijing? Did you two argue?" I waved my hand dismissively. "It's nothing. He ate the cake and wouldn't let me have any. Then I took a bite and he got angry." Mother Chun looked bewildered. "Then why wouldn't he let you eat the cake?" I was also taken aback. That's right. Why was Chun Yijing angry? When I entered the bedroom, he was on the phone with that woman, his tone so gentle, completely different from the person he was just a moment ago. I just smiled and said nothing. He hung up the phone, his attitude no longer as gentle as before. "What are you doing here?" "Then you go out and tell your parents that we're divorced. I won't set foot in this house again, ever." He snorted. "I need to change. Get out." "Chun Yijing, let me ask you something. Before, were you so remorseful and gentle towards me because you felt you had wronged me? And now that I'm with another man, you don't feel guilty anymore. Is that it?" "Yes." He was looking for his clothes. "But it was you who betrayed me first, from the beginning until now. For 8 whole years, it was always you." I also said that I love her. "I only dated you because your eyes looked like hers. You willingly got together with me, willingly accepted my betrayal." I really wanted to call him a scumbag, but I couldn't because it was true that I was willing. I took a deep breath. "Ask your parents when they're leaving. I can't keep up this act anymore. I'm staying at Su Ming's tonight. I'm leaving." "Don't go." Seeing that I was about to leave, he quickly grabbed me, causing me to hiss in pain. What's wrong? Does it hurt? I looked at my slightly bruised wrist and pouted. Maybe you have violent tendencies. He scratched his head. I'm sorry. Don't go. I don't want my parents to suspect anything. I promise I won't touch you tonight. If he hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten that he had ravaged me last night. I patted his shoulder. We're both adults. It's not like we haven't done it before. I'll forgive you this time. Don't worry about it. With that, I yawned and walked out of the room, stretching. Mom and Dad, I'm going for a walk downstairs. Come back soon. Dinner will be ready soon. Okay. I sat on the neighborhood fitness equipment and called Su Ming. That girl said she'd find me an apartment. Why hasn't she done anything yet? Hello, darling. I'm about to board my flight. Let's talk when I get to Russia. What? Wait. What are you doing going to Russia? Traveling. All right, gotta go, moi. Looks like I'll have to go apartment hunting myself tomorrow. It's better to rely on yourself than on others. Chapter 3. 11 years ago, I was just a senior high school student who only knew how to study. My high school was one of the best, but there were a lot of punks hanging around near the school. I never thought that a girl with my looks would one day be cornered by them. After all, I wore thick glasses, had a chubby face, and skin that was exceptionally dry due to the changing seasons. I'll never forget that dark, narrow alley piled high with wooden crates. Their hair was dyed in all sorts of colors, their clothes were baggy. One of them, a guy with bleached yellow hair, shoved me and snarled, "Heard you always get first place in exams? So capable, huh? Don't you know the rules of Dexing High School?" I sat on the ground, fearfully swallowing, and shook my head. There were rules for exams. It's okay. We'll teach you a lesson today, and you'll learn. He waved a small knife, the kind that gleamed white. Another one of the punks muttered something in Blondie's ear, and Blondie gave a sly grin. A short while later, a long-haired girl was also brought over. She was very beautiful, with an oval face, big eyes, and flowing hair, like a fairy. Our boss has taken a liking to you. Consider yourself lucky. If you don't obediently climb into his bed today, I'll carve up that pretty little face of yours. Blondie's knife lightly grazed her face, and the girl burst into tears. I couldn't help but feel a bit relieved that the knife wasn't meant for me. But I was also unlucky. The girl, after being slapped a few times, tearfully agreed to be the boss's woman, and naturally, no one bothered her anymore. Blondie raised an eyebrow. Top student, now it's your turn. I've kindly calculated it for you. The best I can do is 150th place because the 149 people ahead of you are all sons and daughters of high-ranking officials and wealthy families. So, to punish you, I'll bestow upon you 149 slaps. That way, you'll remember what place you should get next time. I don't understand why, after clearly agreeing on 149 slaps, they ended up punching and kicking me too. I felt my already chubby face swell even more, and my lower abdomen felt like it had been ripped open and filled with boiling water, a burning pain. They picked me up and pushed me backward again, and I couldn't tell if it was my waist or my stomach that repeatedly slammed against the wooden crates. It hurt so much. Wang Fei, you dare touch my people. I struggled to maintain the last shred of consciousness. I saw a boy at the end of the alley, backlit like a radiant hero. He walked towards me step by step, stopped in front of the girl, and gently asked if she was okay. The punks hurriedly apologized to Brother Jing and fled in disarray. Another wave of pain churned in my abdomen. A strong, bloody smell drifted through the damp air. In the second before I lost consciousness, I saw him anxiously asking if I was okay. I remember I managed to force a smile. Xiangling, Xiangling. I felt someone patting my face. In a daze, I abruptly sat up and saw Chun Yijing in front of me. I felt a strange sense of relief. It was just a dream again. Nightmare? He asked. Yeah. I subconsciously touched my stomach. The dream was over, but the heart-wrenching pain seemed to linger. Wash your face and let's go have breakfast. I took a deep breath, crawled out of the covers, and quickly gathered the blankets on the floor, stuffing them into the wardrobe. I'm not eating. I have things to do. Chun Yijing started his usual passive-aggressive routine. Going to see that man? He hadn't mentioned it, and I'd forgotten that the things I'd splurged on yesterday were still with Mr. Run. I had promised to pick them up. Yes, we made plans. Heh, I wish you a happy life together. Chun Yijing was like a child who couldn't get candy, his handsome face etched with childishness. But I wasn't going to argue with him. Thanks. I sent a text to Ren Yunxian saying I'd go get my things at noon. I needed to look for an apartment in the morning. Unfortunately, the two apartments I looked at weren't to my liking. Either the commute was inconvenient, or they were too expensive. Following the address Ren Yunxian gave me, I found his place. It was a detached villa community with clearly defined roads, a bit like a foreign-style house. The wide road was deserted, with only occasional cars speeding by. Rich people lived here. Perhaps because I'd been running around all morning, coupled with the scorching sun, I felt unable to move another inch. To borrow a phrase from a commercial, I was completely drained. I suddenly remembered I hadn't eaten breakfast. Watching the houses and roads in front of me start to sway, I knew something was wrong. Thinking quickly, I pulled out my phone. Chun Yijing's number was the first on my list. I listened to the endless ringing as I collapsed onto the scorching asphalt, losing consciousness. I woke up with Ren Yunxian sitting by my bed, watching me motionlessly. What are you doing here? He seemed to relax when he saw me awake. I waited for you for a long time, but you didn't come. So I came out to look, and you were fainted at my doorstep. Oh, which hospital is this? Huare Central Hospital. What's wrong? The 4-drip was almost finished, which meant I had been lying here for at least 2 hours. Yet Chun Yijing was nowhere to be seen. When Ren Yunxian escorted me downstairs to my apartment complex, I happened to run into Chun Yijing driving back. He glanced at us sideways. Quite the haul, huh? I carried the bags and packages, said goodbye to Ren Yunxian, and ignored Chun Yijing's sarcastic remarks. In the small elevator, I smelled the strong scent of perfume on him. I seemed to understand something, but still asked, unwilling to give up. Were you with her today? Yes, from morning till night. This was probably why he didn't answer my calls. He was never my hero. When I entered the apartment, the atmosphere felt strange. Mom and Dad looked very serious, making both Chun Yijing and me nervous. Chen's mother turned off the TV. Chun Yijing explained everything to me today. He suddenly knelt down in front of his mother. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I didn't mean to keep it from you. Why do you always cause us so much worry? Xiang Ling and I divorced by mutual agreement. What? Divorce? The two of them jumped up abruptly, asking incredulously, Divorce? What divorce? Chen's mother clutched her chest, heartbroken. I said, why were you two sleeping in separate beds when everything was fine? You, Mom and Dad, don't get upset. It's already happened. Besides, Chun Yijing and I really can't go on anymore. Xiang Ling, you're such a good girl. Our Yijing really doesn't know a good thing when he sees it. I laughed. Doesn't know a good thing when he sees it. How apt a description. How could such a good family? Chen's mother became more agitated as she spoke, and then she fainted with a convulsion. Mom! Old woman. Chun Yijing scooped up his mother and instructed me. Grab the car keys, you drive. After Chen's mother was admitted to the hospital where Chun Yijing worked, he stood outside the ward, worried. He pulled me down to the garden below and chain-smoked. I stepped back a few paces. I had rhinitis, but now I could understand him. Xiang Ling, why don't you move out tomorrow? I plan to introduce Xiaoyan to them when Mom is stable. I looked at the starry sky and sniffed. I can't wait. Who wants to live under the same roof as you? Do you have a place to stay? I'll stay at Yunxian's. He took a hard drag on his cigarette, exhaled a long, thick plume of smoke, and then said in a particularly meaningful tone, That man isn't right for you. But I was able to be with you for 8 years. As long as I love him, I can stay with him forever, unless he doesn't want me anymore. Chun Yijing threw the cigarette, but on the ground, and crushed it with his foot. He frowned and said, You Xiang Ling, have some self-respect, will you? Chun Yijing, it's precisely because I have self-respect that I divorced you. Under the bright moonlight, his expression gradually became unreadable. I walked up to him, took his hand, and placed the wedding ring in his palm. You bought this. I don't want to take it with me. Then throw it away. I watched him fling it away with a forceful swing of his hand. It felt like I was watching all 11 years of my unworthiness. I had always hypnotized myself into believing that one day he would love me, that we would grow old together. I had woven a huge, airtight web for myself, tightly binding everything I had. Chen Yijing, if she hadn't come back, would you have fallen in love with me? He lit another cigarette, his eyes dark and deep. I think, no. Finally, I broke free from the web, drowning in the sea, about to die. Chen Yijing, I will be happier than you. Always just a little bit happier than you. Nearing death, I cried out helplessly, using the last of my strength. I packed my bags that night, booked a flight, and flew to Japan. I didn't know why I chose Japan, perhaps because it was there that I once had Chen Yijing's vows of eternal love. We sat on the Ferris wheel, overlooking the vast expanse of cherry blossoms. I remember as we neared the top, I cupped Chen Yijing's face and said, "Kiss me." He not only kissed me, but also said, "Xiang Ling, we will always be together." I was actually moved to tears because of his tender gaze, because of his rare promise, because I thought I had finally won his heart, and I thought I was finally going to be truly happy. Chapter 4. I've been in Japan for almost half a month, visiting all the places we'd gone together, and even managing to squeeze in an anime convention. While I was wallowing in a bit of melancholy, enjoying the view from a Ferris wheel, I received a barrage of calls from Chen Yijing. His voice on the other end sounded incredibly worn down. "Xiang Ling, where are you? I've been trying to call you for days. Why hasn't your phone been working? I just topped up my phone card yesterday. I'm in Japan." "Japan? What are you doing there?" "I'm traveling with Su Ming. Is there anything you need? If not, I'll hang up." He paused for a moment. "Can you come back?" My heart skipped a beat. Could he be having a change of heart? "My mom is insisting on seeing you. Can you please come back just this once?" I sighed, lamenting my own naivety and wishful thinking. "Chen Yijing, why should I come and go at your beck and call? Who are you to me?" "Xiang Ling, I'm begging you. My mom has always been good to you. Can't you come back just for her? This is the last time." He had said those same words to me once. Now I was returning them. I had just gotten off the Ferris wheel when I felt a tremor. I was wondering if I was having another dizzy spell from anemia when the shaking intensified. I saw people behind me, surging towards the amusement park exits, muttering something unintelligible in Japanese. "Earthquake! Run!" a few Chinese compatriots yelled. My mind went blank. The next second, I was jolted awake by the violent tremors. An earthquake. Damn, a once-in-a-century event. I felt like I wasn't running, but being carried by the crowd. Behind me, the rumbling sounds of collapsing buildings filled the air. It felt less like we were escaping and more like we were running toward a hellish death. The crowd swept me into an open space. I watched in horror as the surrounding buildings crumbled like they were made of sand, accompanied by deafening roars, screams, and cries. In the distance, the Ferris wheel swayed precariously, looking as if it was about to topple over. I prayed that it wouldn't fall. If it did, my most precious memories would disappear with it. Chen Yijing's words echoed in my ears. "Xiang Ling, we'll be together forever." With trembling hands, I took out my phone and dialed his number. Thankfully, it connected, although the line was choppy. "Hello, hello, Chen Yijing, Chen Yijing. Chen Yijing, if I die, will you be sad? Chen Yijing, I love you. I really, really love you." Beep! The signal cut out, and I hadn't heard a single word from him. More and more people crammed into the small open space. In the chaos, some were pushed against the roadside and crushed by falling trees. Others trampled underfoot. I was terrified, just as terrified as I was of Chen Yijing leaving me. But he had left me anyway, and I fainted amidst the relentless crush of bodies. I was unwilling to die like this. I hadn't won Chen Yijing's heart, hadn't learned to knit him a sweater, hadn't had a child with him, hadn't told him that I had fallen in love with him 11 years ago. I sat outside a makeshift tent, drinking hot water and looking at the chaotic debris around me. It felt like I was experiencing the Tangshan earthquake all over again. Thankfully, I hadn't been trampled to death. I wouldn't have been able to live with that. The Chinese doctor came over again, handed me a coat. "It's a bit cold. Go inside the tent." I put on the coat, feeling much warmer. "It's been 3 days. When can we go home?" The doctor shook his head. Do you have a phone? Can I borrow it to make a call? I'm sorry. The signal is down here. That's really unfortunate. Oh, by the way, which hospital are you from? Hua Rue Hospital. Do you know Chun Yijing? I felt a surge of hope for some reason. Yes, he was originally supposed to be on this relief mission, but I heard his wife's pregnancy isn't stable, so they sent me instead. The teacup slipped from my hand. That woman was pregnant. While I was fighting for my life, while I was clinging to thoughts of him, even in the face of death, he was holding that woman, reveling in the joy of becoming a father. The doctor patted my shoulder. You should rest. I grabbed his sleeve and burst into tears. After a month in Japan, I finally returned home. I went to Hua Rue Hospital and looked for the doctor who had operated on my leg. Yes, I hadn't been trampled to death, but my leg had been broken badly. Chun Yijing had been newly promoted to attending physician and shared an office with my doctor, sitting at the second desk. Xiangling? What? I ignored him and addressed the doctor. Give me the prescription so I can get my medicine. When should I come back to have the cast removed? Don't rush. It'll be another 2 months. Remember to rest properly. You also have. Doctor, I understand. I interrupted him. Then I limped out, one leg shorter than the other. Chun Yijing caught up in a few strides and grabbed my arm. How did you hurt your leg? A car accident. It was broken during the earthquake in Japan, and I went to Japan because of Chun Yijing. After a moment's thought, I said a dog bite. He frowned, just like he always did when he suspected I was lying. Excuse me, I have to go. He didn't let go. I'll take you. But Ren Yunxian is waiting for me downstairs. He scoffed. If he was really waiting for you, why wouldn't he come up with you to get your medicine? I was silent for a moment. Even so, it's not your place to take me. Chun Yijing was at it again, declaring with utter self-assurance, I'm your ex-husband. I didn't understand what was so prideful about that title that he could say it so matter-of-factly. Chun Yijing, I heard she's pregnant. Congratulations on becoming a father. He visibly froze when I said that. I smiled and hobbled away. He didn't follow. Life without Chun Yijing always felt a bit dull. I sat in the cafe with my leg in a cast, flipping through a magazine and listening to Su Ming's chatter, which for once didn't seem so boring. You Xiangling, what were you doing running off to Japan? You almost died there. When I got your call, I almost swerved off the road and killed myself. Can you please be a little more considerate? If you want to travel, tell me. Even if it's a North Pole, I'll go with you. Look at what you've done to yourself. I took a sip of my coffee and said slowly, Okay then, let's go to the North Pole. I want to see polar bears. Su Ming coughed. Seriously, how are things going with Mr. Ren? I'm not involved with him. Look, you're divorced from Chun Yijing, so you need to move on. There are tons of good men in the world. Why cling to that scumbag? If you don't want to be tied down, then live it up. Pick up 8 or 10 young hotties and enjoy yourself. I put down my magazine and looked at Su Ming in disbelief. That's a fantastic idea. What is? Living it up. I swung my casted leg, excitedly gesturing with my hands. After my relentless pleading, Su Ming rolled her eyes and took me to a bar she frequented. She said it was full of handsome guys, especially the one-night stand kind. However, this cast was quite the attention grabber. As soon as we entered, people kept staring at me with strange looks. I felt like a monkey in a zoo. Su Ming said, Your dedication to living it up, even with a broken leg, is truly inspiring. We sat at the bar, and she ordered 2 cocktails, a light blue color, very pretty but not to my taste. I preferred something sweet. Su Ming pointed to a guy dancing nearby and analyzed, Look at that guy. He's wearing the latest Givenchy, his watch looks like a CK, and he's got that delicate pretty boy look. He's either a rich kid or a government official's son. Perfect for a fling, because they never get truly invested. I clapped my hands. You can even tell the brand of his watch. Amazing. She hummed proudly and pointed to another man. See the one talking over there? First, he's tall, 10 points. He looks hot with glasses, 10 points. His fingers are long and slender, 10 points. He's wearing Versace. Maybe not the latest collection, but not cheap either. He probably has a stable, high-paying job, like a senior executive or a lawyer. I put my arm around Su Ming and said solemnly, He's a doctor. How do you know? I chuckled. Because he's my doctor. Holy crap. He's coming over here. How do I look? Is my hair messed up? Miss you, what are you doing here? Your leg hasn't healed yet. This isn't a suitable place for you. Dr. Shin, I'm just sitting here, not partying. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw someone behind Dr. Chun Yijing. He was wearing a shirt I'd never seen before, a black one, and he looked sexy. His seductive eyes were even more alluring under the bar lights. Su Ming narrowed her eyes and marched over to Chun Yijing, grabbing his collar and yelling like a fishwife. Son of a bitch. You have a nerve to be out here having fun. Weren't you madly in love with your first love? Is it because that little slut is pregnant that you're out here looking for some action? Chun Yijing unhappily shook off Su Ming's hand and straightened his clothes. What nonsense are you talking about? Dr. Shin pointed at Su Ming, suddenly understanding. Yijing, so this is your ex-wife? I rubbed my temples and pulled Su Ming away. Stop it. You're embarrassing me. Stop it. I rarely see him. Now that I do, I have to get some payback for you. Chun Yijing, do you know that when you were? I quickly covered her mouth. We're leaving now. Dr. Shun, enjoy yourselves. Chun Yijing did something that completely shocked me. He swept me up into a princess carry. I'll take you home. Since your leg isn't convenient, you shouldn't be running around. Su Ming was frozen in place, watching me being carried away. From a distance, I saw her turn and start chatting up Dr. Shun, talk about selling out a friend. What's that man's address? Who? You're Mr. Ren. I said, oh, I had told Chun Yijing I was staying at Ren Yinshin's place, but in reality, I'd been living in a small room at the cafe. Chun Yijing's phone rang. I glanced at it. It was his mother. Mom, I'll be back soon. I'm taking Xiangling home first. His mother said something on the other end, and he looked at me hesitantly. After hanging up, Chun Yijing coughed. My mom wants you to come over for dinner. She wants to see you. I said, okay. Chapter 5. I thought I would be greeted by Chen's mother and father, along with the enticing braised pork with dried bamboo shoots, but I hadn't expected her, the delicate one. I always forget to mention, her name is Su Yan. Xiangling, you're here. Her smile was proper and composed. Mother Chen glanced at the woman, pulled me into their bedroom, and secretly slipped some money into my hand. Mom knows it's not easy for a girl out there on your own, and with your leg injured and no one to take care of you, I'm always worried. I pushed the money back into Mother Chen's hand. I received my share of the assets when Chun Yijing and I divorced. I'm not short of money. Auntie, keep it for yourself. Buy something you like. Mother Chen's eyes reddened. Hearing you call me Annie makes me so sad. Before I could figure out what to say, I heard the crashing sound of something shattering in the next room. Mother Chen gritted her teeth. That woman's gone crazy again. Curious, I followed Mother Chen to the master bedroom door, hearing wave after wave of breaking glass from inside. The woman cried and shouted. Why did you bring her back? Why are you seeing her again? Yijing, I'm carrying your child. We're supposed to spend our lives together. I looked at Mother Chen and whispered, Auntie, I'll go now. I won't come again. Father Chen sighed deeply and said goodbye to me. Child, may you be happy. I had left Chun Yijing, this home, and even a braised pork with dried bamboo shoots to that woman, but I couldn't understand why she was still so aggressive. Hearing that I was leaving, she chased me downstairs like a lunatic. Please return the money Yijing invested in your cafe. I will, I said, too tired to argue with her. She grabbed my hand fiercely. I'm telling you, don't ever come and pester Yijing again, you vixen. I rolled my eyes, anger burning in my chest. Who was the real vixen here? That woman was truly vicious. She kicked my cast, and the pain sent me crouching to the ground. It seemed she wanted to kick me again, but thankfully I reacted quickly, grabbing my crutch and slamming it against her. She yelped, clutching her face and stumbling backward. She bumped into a parked car by the roadside, and due to the equal and opposite reaction, she fell forward, landing face first on ground. I was smiling smugly when Chun Yijing came rushing from behind. Looking at Su Yin writhing in pain on the ground, he spoke to me for the first time in a tone of utter disgust. You Xiangling, how could you be so vicious? He picked her up and left, just like a prince rescuing a princess, just like 11 years ago. His eyes only saw Su Yin, even though I was also injured. I touched my leg, telling myself it was okay, but the pain prevented me from standing up. Suddenly, a wave of nausea surged through me, and then I saw blood seeping through my cast, unsure of what to do. When I finally managed to stand up with my crutch, my lower abdomen felt like it was being ripped apart. The pain was like being cut open with a knife, like the pain of deciding to divorce Chun Yijing. I touched my slightly protruding belly, panic rising. As I fainted, I saw my lower body covered in blood. I didn't know if it was from my leg injury or a sign of my child's death. Chun Yijing left with the woman, without looking back. I felt the pain in my heart was far greater than the pain in my abdomen, a pain that would never heal. I saw Chun Yijing again the next day at noon. I was lying in a hospital bed, happily drinking chicken soup. Dr. Shun's cooking was really good. He looked like he hadn't slept all night, his eyes bloodshot, as if he had just survived a life-or-death ordeal. My child is gone. I put down the chicken soup and comforted him. You can still have children. He snatched the bowl from my hand and smashed it mercilessly on the floor. The crashing sound was particularly jarring in the quiet ward. She had surgery for 4 hours last night, but the baby couldn't be saved. Now she's crying and wants to die. Yu Xiangling, how could you be so cruel? I didn't speak, just watched him rage like a roaring lion. She didn't do anything to hurt you, and my child didn't wrong you either. If you have any grievances, take it out on me. Why do this to her? I will never feel a shred of guilt towards you again, and I hope you won't appear in my life again. Chun Yijing, I interrupted him. Do you regret knowing me? His eyes were filled with deep despair. I do. Me too. I don't regret wasting so many years of my youth. I just regret falling in love with you. I told you, you were willing back then. But if you hadn't come with flowers and a ring, I wouldn't have been so shameless as to marry you. He looked up and closed his eyes. Let's consider this settled then. Okay. Jia. Shun came in just as he was leaving, looking a little awkward. So you're Yijing's ex-wife. I gave a nonchalant smile. So what? And your child? Isn't it all gone now? There's no point talking about it. When can I be discharged? Probably a few more months. Your body is too weak, you're severely anemic, and the uterine bleeding has taken a toll on you. The bones that were finally starting to heal are broken again. Miss you. You have to be prepared for a long hospital stay. This is the consequence of you refusing to listen to me and insisting on walking around on crutches. Can I transfer to another hospital? You can, but I'm worried. I will transfer. It wasn't until autumn that my body fully recovered. After being discharged, I packed a few simple belongings and left the bustling city. I abandoned my cafe, abandoned Su Ming, who knew nothing, and went to a very poor place. There are no subways, no restaurants, no amusement parks, only endless mountains and open fields. I was determined to live a simple, rural life. I used my savings to open a small bakery there, which was very popular with the children because I often gave them free bread. Who could resist their praise for my delicious baking? One day, as I was sitting in a rocking chair outside enjoying the cool air, I saw Su Ming walking slowly towards me, laden with bags. I was so startled that my banana leaf fan flew out of my hand. You hid here. You think I couldn't find you? Shen Chongxian told me everything. She threw down her bags, cursing and then suddenly bursting into tears. She hugged me, sobbing. How could you be so stupid? You were pregnant and didn't tell me. You had a miscarriage and didn't tell me. He bullied you and you didn't tell me. You think you can hide here forever? I patted her back. I thought I could handle it, including forgetting Chun Yijing. I stared blankly at the distant mountains. I couldn't forget him because I had started to hate him. Come back with me, she said. I picked up Su Ming's luggage and walked inside, asking casually, want some bread? I made it myself. There's one left from yesterday. She stood there, motionless, her eyes red like a crazed rabbit, asking me with a mixture of anger and heartache, what happened to your leg? I paused my back to her. It's just lame. She jumped and yelled in frustration. How could that bastard Chun Yijing do this to you? He's a bastard. A bastard. I sighed. Are you going to eat the bread or not? I'm not eating. I'm not eating. I want to eat Chun Yijing's flesh and drink his blood. In the middle of the night, Su Ming and I squeezed onto the narrow little bed. She was angrily gnawing on the bread. I nudged her and asked, "What did you come to see me for?" She stammered for a while before finally spitting out a complete sentence. "Chun Yijing is getting married." I touched my chest, taking a deep breath. "So what? Xiang Ling, why didn't you ever fight for it? You should have insisted on not getting divorced back then. If you had, things wouldn't have come to this. But it's good that you're divorced because Chun Yijing is scum. It's not that I didn't fight, it's that I had no reason to. Chun Yijing is like a leaf carried away by the wind. No matter how I chase, I can't catch him. Unless the wind stops, then he'll fall in front of me. These 8 years, Su Yin, let me have them." 8 years, Xiang Ling. How many 8 years do we have? If I live to be 100, I'll have almost 12 8 years. She chuckled. "Why are you calculating so seriously?" Then her smile gradually faded into the darkness. "Zhao Shuyao is back, with a beautiful woman. Then you should fight for it." Su Ming pinched me hard. "He said he's bringing that woman to my house this weekend." I said, "Oh, so you rushed over here to avoid him. And you're calling me a coward? You're a coward yourself." "I'm not avoiding him. I just don't want to see that woman." I wasn't avoiding him either. I just didn't want Chun Yijing to see me limping. Chapter 6. I accompanied Su Ming back to that city to meet Zhao Shuyao and that woman with her. I had arranged to meet Shen Chongxian at a cafe, hoping to ask him to pretend to be Su Ming's boyfriend. Just as I walked into the cafe, I unexpectedly saw Su Yin. The moment she saw me, she lunged at me like a viper, not saying a word but landing a slap that nearly knocked me senseless. Su Ming retaliated without hesitation, slapping her right back. "Someone, get this crazy woman out of here." Su Yin, her hair disheveled, lunged at me again. Limping, I stumbled backward and fell to the ground with a thud. She pinned me down and delivered 2 more slaps. Unable to bear it any longer, I grabbed my backpack and slammed it into her face, then straddled her, slapping her repeatedly. Perhaps I had gone mad, but it felt strangely satisfying. Su Yin cursed. "You bitch! Homewrecker! You killed my child! You killed my child! Say that again. Who killed whose child? Who's the real bitch?" I yanked her hair with one hand and pounded her with the other, using all my strength. Hearing the commotion from upstairs, Shen Chongxian looked down, startled, and rushed down to try and pull us apart. "Su Ming, what are you standing there for?" "Oh, Xiang Ling, stop it. Stop hitting her. She'll pass out." "Boss, don't hit her anymore." "You Xiang Ling, what are you doing?" I heard a familiar male voice. Chun Yijing was standing at the entrance. I stopped, collapsing to the ground. Watching Chun Yijing embrace Su Yin with such tenderness, I laughed inexplicably. Shen Chongxian frowned, explaining in a low voice, "I just saw Su Yin here, so I called Yijing. I didn't expect it to turn into this." Chun Yijing walked up to me, grabbed my clothes, and yanked me to my feet. Without a word, he slapped me. I touched my burning cheek and glared at him. Su Ming shoved him, her voice as loud as an opera singer. "Chun Yijing, what kind of man are you? What kind of man am I? My woman is being bullied, and I should just stand by and watch." "Hi, your woman? Hasn't this person you just hit also been your woman?" Chun Yijing, his eyes red with anger, held Su Yin tightly and looked at me. "Why do you keep hurting her? I told you if you have any grievances, take it out on me." I hadn't intended to argue with him, but I couldn't stop others. As soon as he finished speaking, Shin Chongshuan's fist landed on Chun Yijing's face. "What do you know? When you were happily expecting a child with Su Yin, Xiang Ling almost died in Japan. You cannot know about the Fukushima earthquake, can you? When you blamed her for the death of your child, she had just had an abortion. When you were planning to get married, she became crippled. Chun Yijing, do you know how much you owe her? And now you have the nerve to say Xiang Ling hurt someone else? How much better are you yourself?" I lowered my head, afraid to meet Chun Yijing's eyes. I was afraid of seeing that deep guilt. It would make me sick. "What earthquake? What child? What happened to your leg?" He froze for a long time, then gripped my shoulders tightly, his demeanor bordering on frantic. "Chun Yijing, If you knew then that I almost died in Fukushima, would you have left Su Yin and flown to Japan to find me? If you knew that I was also injured that night, would you have taken me to the hospital first? If you knew that I was also pregnant with your child, would you have felt even a little regret? Huh, you don't need to regret it. It was an ectopic pregnancy. I couldn't have carried it to term anyway. Xiangling, don't say sorry. I just hope you and her will disappear from my life. I'm always living in her shadow. I'm really tired. He closed his eyes in pain, his voice low. Why did you never tell me? There's one thing I've told you countless times. Chenijing, I love you. I love you very much. When did you ever take it to heart? When did you ever care? What does it matter if I die? Or if I'm crippled? Besides guilt, what else do you feel? Su Yin, clutching her swollen face, tugged at Chen Yijing's sleeve pitifully. Yijing, he gave me a long look, hesitated for a few seconds, then left the cafe with his arm around Su Yin. Late that night, Chen Yijing went to see Shun Chongxian. Shun Chongxian had just showered. Looking at the somewhat disheveled Chen Yijing, he said, "Want a drink?" He fetched a bottle of red wine and glasses, sat on the sofa, and said calmly, "I guessed you'd come to me. You want to ask about Xiangling, right?" Chen Yijing ran a hand through his hair and took a sip of wine. "You've known her since Fukushima?" "Yes, I was her doctor. When she was found, she was barely clinging to life. Her leg was severely fractured, and combined with her already fragile constitution, it took a great deal of effort to save her. The weather in Japan was very cold then, but she still sat outside the tent every day, seemingly waiting for something. One day, she asked to borrow my phone. I told her there was no signal, and she was very disappointed. She asked me which hospital I came from, if I knew someone named Chen Yijing. I told her Chen Yijing's wife was pregnant, so he couldn't come. I came in his place. Later, when I learned about your relationship, I understood why she had cried in my arms for so long that day, and why she stayed inside the tent for the next 2 weeks, refusing to come out." Chen Yijing hung his head, his handsome face etched with exhaustion. "I thought she was in Tokyo. I thought her leg was injured in a car accident. I discovered she was pregnant back in Fukushima, but the equipment was limited, and I didn't examine her thoroughly. I'm not a gynecologist, after all. I did tell her to have it checked out properly when she got back. Then, that day, the day you brought Su Yin in, I was waiting outside when she was brought in for surgery. The nurse told me it was an ectopic pregnancy with massive hemorrhaging. I signed a consent form. The child couldn't be saved anyway. Not only was it ectopic, but the nuclear radiation in Fukushima was too severe. The child would have been deformed. Later, when I overheard you two arguing, I learned about your relationship. Before she transferred hospitals, she asked me not to tell you any of this, and I agreed. I didn't expect you to be completely unaware. I heard you were together for nearly 8 years. In all that time, didn't you even figure out what kind of person she is? To blame her like that. If I were her, I would have been heartbroken long ago." Shun Chongxian shook his head helplessly. Chen Yijing took out a cigarette and lit it, his deep eyes hidden behind the swirling smoke. "She was heartbroken long ago. 8 years ago, when I told her I wanted to date her, it was only because she looked like Su Yin." He took 2 more drags and said slowly, "She knew I didn't love her. Then why did you marry her?" "At the time, I felt we were compatible, and she was very obedient. I had no contact with Su Yin anymore, so I thought marrying her would be good. I owe her. You not only owe her her youth, you owe her a leg. It was healing quite well, even though she loved to run around. The day she was brought in, her lower body was covered in blood. After Dr. Lee finished the abortion, he called me over immediately because the nurses discovered her leg was also bleeding. After she woke up, I told her I had done my best, but the injury was too severe. I asked her how it happened, but she refused to tell me. That day, Chen Yijing struggled to recall the events of that day. When he chased them downstairs, he saw Su Yin clutching her stomach collapsed on the ground, and Xiang Ling sitting there, laughing foolishly. Don't bother trying to remember. Later, she finally told me. Su Yin broke her leg, stepped on it. Impossible. How is it impossible? Back at the cafe, did you think Xiang Ling was the one who attacked first? Are you that biased towards Su Yin? Chongxian, I really seem to owe her a lot. After leaving Shun Chongshuan's home, Chen Yijing drove aimlessly for a while, not wanting to return to his house. He parked at the gates of a university. The campus was quiet in the dead of night, illuminated by only a few streetlights. Staring at the steering wheel, memories suddenly flooded his mind. He remembered sneaking kisses when he took her to the campus cinema. They made a bet. If she lost, she would have to shout, "Husband, go!" at the next basketball game. That day, Yu Xiangling, embarrassed but resolute, shouted at the top of her lungs, eliciting a roar of cheers from the crowd. Chen Yijing dropped the basketball, cupped her face, and kissed her. They had released sky lanterns by the campus lake, her arms tight around him as she said she would love him forever. They had dined and dashed at the small campus restaurant, only to return the next day to pay the bill and the fine. She had once promised to knit him a sweater, but by graduation, it was still a tangled ball of yarn. Chen Yijing also remembered their 4 years of marriage. She never did anything to upset or inconvenience him. She cooked dinner every day and waited for him to come home, planned every holiday trip, and kept the house spotless. Aside from shopping and eating, she was truly impeccable. He remembered one time when she bought a mountain of snacks and fruit and piled them on the bed. When he returned, he saw her wriggling around on the bed like a worm. He asked her what she was doing, and she said she was looking for a banana. After searching for a long time without success, she slumped onto the bed dejectedly. At that moment, she said, "Chen Yijing, I think I found banana. It's under my butt." The banana stain on that bedsheet never washed out. She also had a common female vice. She loved to shop. She bought anything pretty, anything she liked. Yet this same woman, after they decided to have a child last year, stopped buying anything. She said she needed to save money to raise the child. They split that money when they divorced. Chen Yijing sat in the car all night, unable to sleep. Chapter 7. Zhao Xuyao proposed to Su Ming. There was a 10-tiered cake, 999 roses, and the whole getting down on one knee thing. It seemed a bit cliched to me, but Su Ming was utterly moved. I patted Shun Chongxian on the shoulder and offered, "Well, the beating you took was worth it." That day, as planned, Shun Chongxian played Su Ming's boyfriend and met with Zhao Xuyao. Well, Zhao Xuyao, with his military background, didn't hesitate to give Shun Chongxian a good thrashing. Shun Chongxian shrugged, his smile warm. Happy endings are worth a beating. Consider it a good deed. In late autumn, Su Ming excitedly dragged me along to try on bridesmaid dresses. But as soon as we reached the second floor, I wanted to turn back. Su Yin, arm in arm with Chen Yijing, was picking out a wedding dress. Su Ming gave him a huge eye roll. While browsing through dresses, she commented, "Shouldn't a second marriage be a low-key affair?" Su Yin snatched the dress Su Ming was holding, declaring haughtily, "I'm trying this one on." Then, looking at me with a smirk, she added, "Remember to pick a long dress. Otherwise, people will notice you're a cripple." Su Ming put an arm around me, pretending to ponder. Pointing at Su Yin and Chen Yijing, she said, "What does that saying go? A bitch and a dog, a match made in heaven. Thank for the well wishes. We'll be together forever and ever." She was as arrogant as a queen, repeatedly asserting her ownership, just like how I used to always hold Chen Yijing's hand while grocery shopping, terrified someone would steal him away. Just stay trashy. Don't suddenly regain your humanity, or you won't last forever, Su Ming said, twisting her tiny waist as she pulled me to the other side. I limped along, suddenly feeling a pang of self-consciousness. I glanced at Chen Yijing, who had remained silent, and noticed he was also looking at me. His gaze was complex, a mix of longing, sadness, and helplessness. Su Ming dropped the dress in her hand and shook my shoulder. What did she say that was right? What gives her the right to be so arrogant? With that, she dragged me back to Su Yin. "Bitch, tell me, wasn't it you who caused her leg to be like this?" A flicker of guilt crossed Su Yan's face, but she retorted defiantly, "Stop with your false accusations." She broke it herself. "Chen Yijing, this is the woman you loved for 11 years. This is the woman you're about to marry. This is the woman for whom you relentlessly hurt Xiangling." Chen Yijing, hands in his pockets, remained silent. Su Yin, her eyes wide, shot back like a shrew. What's wrong with me? Why are you, an outsider, so involved in our affairs? You think Yu Xiangling is some innocent angel? If she were as pure and kind as you say, she wouldn't have been with Yijing, wouldn't have married him. Ultimately, she was just satisfying her own selfish desires. And you? If you truly loved Chun Yijing, why did you leave 8 years ago? And why are you back now? Isn't it because you thought he was poor back then? Isn't it because you couldn't make it abroad? Now you're back, seeing him successful and still devoted to you. So you might as well marry him, right? Su Yin, do you really think no one knows about your dirty little secrets abroad? Let me tell you, if you have any conscience at all, behave yourself. Sooner or later, I'll make you pay for Xiangling's leg. I'm putting that out there today. Su Ming's words left Su Yan's face alternating between red and green. Yijing, look at that woman. Su Yan whined, clinging to Chun Yijing's arm. Enough! Chun Yijing impatiently shook off Su Yan's hand and walked away, leaving Su Yan to chase after him in her 4-inch heels. I tugged on Su Ming's arm, asking admiringly, "How will you make her pay for my leg?" Su Ming blinked. "I was just saying." Chun Yijing walked out of the bridal shop. Looking at the clinging, agitated Su Yan, he finally lost his temper. "Do you really think I don't know how her leg became crippled? What do you mean? You think I did it? Can you stop pretending? Oh, so that's what I am in your eyes, Chun Yijing? And you said you loved me? I see you've changed your heart long ago. Your heart has already flown to that woman." Su Yan burst into tears. He was silent for a few seconds, then replied with utmost seriousness, "I have changed my heart. Today, I realized I no longer love you. Su Yan, let's break up." Ignoring Su Yan's clinging and hysterics, Chun Yijing drove away from the bridal shop. He had thought he would just marry Su Yan and make do, but seeing Xiangling today made him want to hold her close and go home, to the home that once belonged to them. When I returned to the hotel that evening, I saw Chun Yijing waiting in the lobby, motionless and expressionless. I had intended to pretend I hadn't seen him and go straight to my room. After all, I had traipsed all over City A with Su Ming, looking at wedding dresses, and I was utterly exhausted. Chun Yijing followed me into the elevator. Annoyed, I spoke to him. "Are you following me?" "Yes." "Don't you have anything better to do?" "No." "Are you crazy?" He looked at me, his eyes slightly lowered. "Perhaps." As I swiped my room key, he seemed to want to follow me in. I turned to face him. "What do you want? If you want to sleep, go home." Chun Yijing must have lost his mind. He suddenly grabbed me in a hug, almost choking me. "Chun Yijing, are you insane?" I punched and kicked him, but couldn't break free from his embrace. "Yes, I'm insane. I can't even tell who I truly love, and I keep hurting the person I actually love deeply." I stopped struggling, just gently pushed his shoulder, creating some distance between us. I asked him seriously, "Don't tell me you're about to say you love me." He nodded, his eyes fixed on my lips, seemingly wanting to kiss me. Luckily, I was quick enough to slap him, just as he had slapped me that day. Without any mercy, without any trust, a hard, merciless slap. I said, "Don't think it hurt. My hand hurt too when I hit you. And don't say you love me. I might believe you if you said you wanted to be with me, to spend your life with me, to treat me well. But I'll never believe you love me. Just like if I suddenly told you, 'Chun Yijing, I don't love you anymore,' you wouldn't believe me. Xiangling, I really do love you. But I hate you." I saw the wedding ring on his finger, the ring that belonged to him and Su Yan. "Can't we start over? Chun Yijing, from the moment we met, you said you loved her. I didn't blame you. You said you dreamt of her. I didn't blame you either. You said she was back and you wanted a divorce. I didn't blame you and even supported you. I've always been so kind and accommodating to you. But why do you always take my kindness for weakness, treating me like I'm at your beck and call? How could someone be so selfish?" I ignored him, entered my room, and slammed the door shut. I remembered our wedding day, the morning after our wedding night. I woke up and saw Chun Yijing standing by the bed, shirtless, smoking a cigarette. I got dressed and walked up behind him, and he didn't even notice. I suddenly hugged him from behind, my face against his back. "Chun Yijing, what are you thinking about, so lost in thought?" He loosened my grip, extinguished his cigarette. In the early morning light, his features were especially soft. I adored his almond-shaped eyes. They always captivated me. I stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek. Morning! He stared at me for a moment, then suddenly hugged me, resting his head on my shoulder, burying his face in the crook of my neck. His voice was hoarse. He said, I dreamt of her again last night. I dreamt of the day I saved her, how she hid in my arms, clutching my clothes, refusing to let go. I felt like she needed me so much. It was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over me. I stared at the ceiling, forcing back the tears that welled up. I patted Chun-Yi-Jing's back, and then I tried to sound gentle and unaffected. It was my last shred of pretense. Why do I always dream of her? I wanted to know that too. Why did he always dream of her? On our wedding night, after he had been with me, when I was filled with joy, I pushed him away. I'm going to make breakfast. You go take a shower. I hid in the kitchen, frying eggs. The hot oil splattered all over my hands, but the heat felt like a lifeline, warming my body and bringing me some clarity. During breakfast, Chun-Yi-Jing noticed my burns immediately. He grabbed my hand, his almond-shaped eyes filled with concern. What happened? Did the oil splatter on you? How careless. Does it hurt? I threw myself into his arms, my vision blurring with tears, staining his shirt. I cried like a child. I told him, Chun-Yi-Jing, it hurts so much. I feel so much pain. Don't cry. I'll get you some ointment. It won't hurt after you apply it. I clutched his sleeve tightly. Where is it? I'll get it for you. Be good. I looked at my red hands, unsure whether I was laughing or crying. Would ointment really make it better? But what about my medicine? Where's my medicine? Chun-Yi-Jing said he loved me. He said he loved me. I finally got my medicine, but my wounds had already festered beyond healing. I slid down the door, collapsing weakly onto the floor, sobbing. The setting sun streamed through the window, bathing me in its light. I heard Chun-Yi-Jing's quiet apology from outside the door. Chapter 8. Su-Yin committed suicide by jumping off a building on the very night Chun-Yi-Jing was guarding outside my room. Their wedding, scheduled for next month, was now indefinitely postponed. Looking at her lying motionless on the hospital bed, her life sustained only by 4 drips, I felt a pang of unease, despite the fact that she had crippled me. I asked Chun-Yi-Jing, if time could turn back, would you still abandon her to come find me? He sat beside Su-Yan's bed, like a thinker, his brows tightly furrowed, forming a deep line between them. I don't know. If I could really go back to that day, I wouldn't have risked her life. I nodded. Then do you regret it now? He fell silent, and the ward was deathly still. Are you sad? He still didn't speak. Maybe you're very sad and regretful now, but I have a favor to ask you. He finally reacted. What favor? My dad's in the hospital, and he doesn't have much time left. They don't know we're divorced. They said they want to see you. Will you come back to City C with me? He looked at Su-Yin on the bed and paused for a moment. What about Su-Yin? I took a deep breath and turned to leave. In his heart, I was still no match for Su-Yin. I had actually held out hope for him. I stopped outside the ward and suddenly remembered my dad's constant mention of Chun-Yi-Jing on the phone. So I returned, unwilling to give up. Chun-Yi-Jing, are you coming with me? He looked at me and said, I'm sorry. I bit my lip, swallowing all the anger and bitterness. Save that sorry for when I'm lying in my coffin. I took a bus back to City C alone, hesitating at the hospital entrance. How was I going to explain my crippled leg to my parents? How was I going to explain why Chun-Yi-Jing didn't come? I thought for a long time, but couldn't come up with a good reason. My leg was already crippled, and I was already divorced. It was too late for everything. I stood at the busy entrance, feeling as helpless as if I were on a deserted island. I desperately beat my leg, and salty tears left deep and shallow marks on my cheeks. I had so desperately wanted Chun-Yi-Jing to be by my side, to give me the courage to face my parents. But I had overestimated his I love you. When I walked into the ward, my father was sleeping, and my mother was sitting on a small stool, shelling sunflower seeds, already piling up a large handful, probably for my father to eat. When she saw me walk in, her hand trembled and the sunflower seed kernels fell to the ground. She lowered her voice and stared straight at my leg, asking, "Xiangling, is your leg injured?" I wanted to nod and say yes, but I never lied to her. She didn't get a response from me and immediately cried anxiously, "Just say something, Mom." I threw myself into her arms, finally understanding what it meant to cry uncontrollably. Sitting in the hospital corridor, she asked me how it happened. I lowered my head, pretending to be casual. "I went to Japan, and it was broken in an earthquake there. Mom, I'm back this time, and I'm not leaving, because Chun Yijing and I are divorced." She grabbed my hand, looking incredulous. "Why did you get divorced out of the blue? Did he dislike your leg? Tell him it can be cured. Mom will take you to the best hospital. It can definitely be cured. Tell him." My nose tingled again. We just couldn't make it work. We weren't happy together. My mother raised her hand angrily, but the slap didn't land on my face. She hugged me, crying heartbrokenly. Suddenly, I heard a thud at the ward door. "Dad!" My father fell to the ground, convulsing, his right hand tightly clutching his chest. He called my name intermittently, "Xiang. Ling. Xiang." He must have heard everything to have a seizure. "Dad, I'm here." I wanted to help him up, but my father's body kept falling to the ground like a magnet. A wave of panic spread through my heart, and that feeling of fear returned. I watched him slowly close his eyes in my arms, his hands falling limply to the ground. I lost him. I lost him again. After my father's funeral, I returned to City A with my crippled leg. I saw Chun Yijing, who was in a daze, in the lobby of Huarwei Hospital. When he saw me, he stood up involuntarily. I walked into his arms. He seemed startled by my hug. "Chun Yijing, my dad's gone." "Chun Yijing, it's all your fault." I felt his body stiffen. Then I said, "It's good to see you. Can you buy me some food? I want to drink the mung bean soup from the A University gate." He touched my head gently and said, "Okay, wait for me in my office." I gave him a forced smile and nodded, watching him walk out of the hospital. I walked into the elevator and pressed the 7th floor, my whole body trembling at the thought of what I was about to do. I suddenly remembered the past, when Chun Yijing always abandoned me for Su Yan. The summer after college graduation, we went to Melbourne for a graduation trip. Melbourne was his choice. The first stop was the Victorian College of the Arts, also his choice. How could I not know what he was thinking? Su Yan was studying dance at that school. The weather wasn't good that day, a bit rainy. We had only explored half of the school, and my heels were already bloody from my new shoes. I said to him almost pleadingly, "Chun Yijing, I'm so tired. Can we go back to the hotel to rest? We can come back this afternoon." His determined eyes were like the scorching summer sun, burning my heart. "I don't believe it. I don't believe I can't find her." He always bluntly laid the facts before me, as if I were a saint who could tolerate everything. "What if you find her? I don't care. I just want to see her. Xiangling, do you know? I'm going crazy thinking about her." I felt like I was going crazy too. I threw my umbrella on the ground angrily and walked away without looking back. After walking about 10 meters, even though I stopped in the drizzling rain, Chun Yijing didn't catch up. I was even too timid to look back, afraid of seeing him running desperately towards her. I caught a fever from the rain and had no appetite. I lay in bed like a wilted little plant. In a daze, I felt Chun Yijing feed me medicine. He tucked me in and whispered in my ear, "I'm sorry, Xiangling. I'm going to look for her one last time today. I'll be back in a while." I wanted to grab him and tell him not to go, to stay with me, but how could a little plant keep a wild horse? I stood in front of the ward door and took a deep breath. Su Yin still hadn't woken up. She was still in a vegetative state. Seeing her so quiet made me feel a little reluctant. But if she had never appeared in my life, if she had abandoned Chun Yijing and never come back, if she had jumped off the building and was no longer alive, wouldn't everything be a little more perfect? Then, 11 years ago, Chun Yijing would have taken me to the hospital first, and I wouldn't have missed the treatment. I wouldn't have had an ectopic pregnancy or be infertile now. My marriage with Chun Yijing wouldn't have fallen apart. My leg wouldn't have been broken, and my father wouldn't have been so angry that he had a seizure and died with regrets. As long as I pulled off her breathing mask, I could bury all the resentment and grievances in my heart for so many years. The devil in my heart kept urging me to do it. I don't know what I was hesitating about. Clearly, I wasn't afraid of anything, even if it meant mutual destruction, but my hand just froze in midair, unable to move or retract. The ward was eerily silent. I finally lowered my hand because I wanted Chun Yijing to continue living in this pain. In the evening, when I was saying goodbye to Su Ming in the coffee shop, Chun Yijing rushed in, carrying the bowl of mung bean soup. "Xiangling, thank you for making the trip, but I don't want to drink it anymore. You took too long." I thought I should say goodbye to him too. I pulled him into the small room where I used to live. "Chun Yijing, if time could turn back again, would you abandon Su Yin and go back to see my dad one last time?" He nodded firmly. "Then, if we went back to the past, would you still want to be with me? Still want to marry me?" "Yes." Chun Yijing's hand stroked my right cheek, so affectionately, so solemnly. "I wish I had met you sooner." "When was that?" 11 years ago." "Yes." His Adam's apple bobbed. "How wonderful it would have been if I had met you 11 years ago." I lowered my head and laughed twice, then changed the subject. "I'm leaving, I won't be back. Is there really no possibility between us?" I squinted and thought for a moment. "Really, no possibility at all. I hope that when we meet again in this lifetime, I will be happier than you. Just a little bit happier." Chun Yijing grabbed my hand, not letting me leave. His deep eyes stared at me, making me flustered. "Xiangling, I'm sorry." His voice trembled slightly. That sorry was like a period marking the end of our story. I looked carefully at his familiar, yet strangely unfamiliar face, and a complex emotion suddenly surged in my heart, like a rapidly growing bacteria. I smiled and said, "Chun Yijing, goodbye." This was my final farewell to him, the real end. Chapter 9. A rage simmered in my chest, threatening to erupt. I was furious, absolutely furious, yet she remained indifferent. I snatched the bowl from her hand and hurled it to the floor. Shards scattered across the hospital room. She was in surgery for 4 hours last night, but they couldn't save the baby. Now she's crying and saying she wants to die. "You Xiangling, how could you be so cruel? She didn't do anything to hurt you, and my child didn't wrong you either. If you have something to get off your chest, come at me. Why take it out on her? I won't feel a shred of guilt towards you anymore. And I hope you disappear from my life." "Chun Yijing." She suddenly said my name, then asked, "Do you regret meeting me?" I looked at her pale face, but the image of Su Yin bleeding profusely filled my mind. I gritted my teeth and said, "Yes, me too. I don't regret wasting all those years of my youth. I just regret falling in love with you." Her expression was so serene, her words so earnest. "Regret falling in love with me? I told you. You were the one who volunteered back then. But if you hadn't shown up with flowers and a ring, I wouldn't have been shameless enough to marry you." I remember that day in Century Square. I held 99 roses and a carefully chosen ring, slowly walking towards her as she cried. She was clutching roses given to her by strangers, staring at the big screen, tears streaming down her face. She looked so adorable. And now, I closed my eyes, pushing away the memory. "Let's just consider us even." "Okay." As the word left her lips, the white sheet beneath her turned crimson. The pungent smell of blood filled my nostrils. Covered in blood, she limped towards me, a mixture of laughter and tears in her voice, calling my name over and over. "Chun Yijing, Chun Yijing, Chun Yijing." Her hand slowly reached into my chest, gripping my heart. "Does it hurt? Does it hurt as much as I hurt?" "Chun Yijing, Chun Yijing, Chun Yijing." Suddenly, the blood-soaked image of her vanished, replaced by the image of her running away, glancing back with a playful grin. I remembered this scene. She was being mischievous again, teasing me late at night, and then slipping away, laughing so brazenly. "Xiangling, Xiangling." But no matter how much I called her, how much I chased her, I couldn't reach her. She stood there, her smile slowly fading. She said, "I hate you, Chun Yijing." I sat up abruptly, my body sticky with sweat, surrounded by darkness. Her words, "I hate you," echoed in my ears. I glanced at the time, 4:00 a.m. I was dreaming again, the same dream, over and over. The empty room held no trace of her scent. I felt like I was falling into a black hole, endlessly plummeting, without support, without light, without faith. I walked to the balcony and habitually lit a cigarette, staring at the approaching dawn, my heart consumed by darkness. The first day, Su Yin moved in. She threw away everything Xiangling had left behind. The sight made me uncomfortable, a strange feeling in my chest. I said, "You don't have to throw everything away." Su Yin glared at me and quickened her pace, discarding the remaining items. She said she wanted to learn to cook. I was surprised. "You don't know how to cook?" Xiangling was a fantastic cook, although she could never master braised pork with dried bamboo shoots. Su Yin tried to make tomato and egg soup. Something so simple, yet she couldn't even manage it. She fumbled around, pouring the eggs into the pot before even adding oil. I turned off the heat and asked, "Didn't the recipe say to add oil first? And you have to saute the tomatoes first so it won't be too sour. I thought you Xiangling was clumsy, but you're even worse." I swear my tone wasn't harsh, but Su Yin, without a word, threw the bowl in her hand. She's good. She's good at everything. If that's the case, why did you divorce her?" She continued, smashing the remaining bowls onto the floor one by one. Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Don't be angry, all right?" She intensified her tantrum, smashing the bowls with greater force until the shards cut my skin. Only then did she stop. I told her to go to the bedroom and rest. Looking at the mess on the floor, I suddenly felt guilty. That was Xiangling's favorite set of bowls. The winter wind bit into my skin like razor blades. I finished my cigarette and returned to the bedroom. After a few moments, I went back to the living room and turned on the TV. Her favorite channel was showing her favorite drama, My Fair Princess. Xiao Yanzi was throwing a tantrum and threatening to run away because of Jihua. Unlike her, she smiled and told me, "Let's get divorced then. I'll move out soon." Unlike her, she smiled and told me, "Let's get divorced then. I'll move out soon." Su Yin was back, and my first love complex seemed to have resurfaced. I couldn't wait to reconcile with her. That night, after a candlelit dinner with Su Yin, I went home. Xiangling had dinner ready and waiting for me. "What's wrong? No appetite? Was it a tiring day?" she asked, helping me off with my coat. I clearly saw her flinch as she got closer. She must have smelled the perfume, but she didn't say anything. "If you don't want to eat, go take a shower and get some sleep," she said. I tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. I didn't know how to tell her. She seemed to be sleeping soundly, facing away from me, motionless. In the morning, she woke up earlier than me, as usual, and prepared breakfast and did the laundry. She wore her thick glasses, head down, eating silently. I thought it was strange. Didn't she hate wearing those glasses? She said they made her look ugly. Xiangling. She glanced at me and then continued eating. "I want to tell you She's back." My hand holding the chopsticks trembled. How did she know? But since she had already said it, I might as well tell her everything. "Xiangling." The words "I want a divorce" seemed to be stuck in my throat. "You want a divorce?" Through her glasses, I saw her eyes were red and swollen, but I still nodded. She smiled. "Let's get divorced then. I'll move out soon." She took her dishes to the kitchen, the sound of running water drowning out all other sounds. For a moment, my heart felt empty. I was hoping she would beg me not to leave. But soon, the joy of being with Su Yin overwhelmed me. 11 years, and I was finally going to get what I wanted. Xiao Yanzi was running away, and Yongqi chased after her, trying to stop her. She relented because she loved him. I turned off the TV, rubbing my temples, staring blankly at the quiet surroundings. I turned off the TV, rubbing my temples, staring blankly at the quiet surroundings. If I had chased after her that day, when she left with her suitcase, and told her I'd changed my mind, would everything be different? After finalizing the divorce that morning, we each held a divorce certificate in our hands and drove back. The silence in the car was awkward. I said, "Do you want to call a moving company?" She shook her head, staring out the window, avoiding my gaze. I watched her open her suitcase and neatly fold her clothes inside, adding some cosmetics. She glanced around the room, making sure she hadn't forgotten anything, and closed the suitcase. I couldn't believe it. She was really leaving just like that? What about the wedding photos? Don't you want them? She looked at me calmly and said, "Please take care of that trash." Trash? Those were trash. I had no reason to ask her to stay any longer. Watching her frail figure, the guilt resurfaced. Just as I was about to apologize, she preempted me, as if reading my mind. "Don't say sorry. It's the most useless phrase in the world." She left without looking back. Back in the present, I shook my head, trying to banish the thoughts. But in the darkness, I involuntarily turned to look at the door. The first few days with Su Yin were blissful. I felt like I was flying. All my regrets seemed to vanish. So when I saw Xiangling, I became impatient. She was interrupting my happiness. But I couldn't bring myself to be angry with her. Lying in the hospital bed, she looked like a frail, dying rabbit. I tried to speak as gently as possible. "Xiangling, we're divorced. I don't want us to be entangled forever." She gave me that same smile, a smile that felt like needles pricking my heart. I suddenly remembered the last time I saw her. She had smiled like that too. She said, "Chun Yijing goodbye." She said those two words with such finality, like a bolt of lightning severing all ties between us. Quick, ruthless, decisive. She would never, ever want to see me again. She would never come back to me. She would never love me unconditionally again. Just like that day in the hotel, I tried to kiss her, and she slapped me. I realized I loved her, but she had already started to hate me. Why was I thinking about her again? Why did my mind keep replaying the past? The past I regretted so much. The sadness in my heart was overwhelming. I punched the glass coffee table. It shattered with a crash. I looked at my bleeding fist, my heart aching. If Xiangling were here, she would be frantically searching for the first aid kit, distressed. But now I could only suffer alone. Dawn was breaking. I bandaged my hand, cleaned up the broken glass, changed my clothes, and prepared to go to the hospital for work. Stepping outside, I realized it was snowing. I thought of Xiangling again. Stepping outside, I realized it was snowing. I thought of Xiangling again. The last time it snowed in city, it was probably over a decade ago. She had watched a movie back then, something about first snow. She cried on the phone, saying she wanted to watch the first snow of every year with me, because watching the first snow with your loved one meant you would be together forever. Unfortunately, during the 8 years we were together, it never snowed. And unfortunately, we were now apart. A sudden urge came over me. I wanted to go back to City C and bring her back to watch the snow. I knew she wouldn't answer my call, but I dialed anyway. As expected, she didn't pick up. Chapter 10. My surgery started at 8 a.m. and didn't finish until 2 p.m. I saw a missed call on my phone. It wasn't Xiangling's number, but the area code was C City. My heart leaped with joy. Could it be Xiangling with a new number? Could this call be from her? Filled with this hope, I called back. It rang for a long time before someone answered. The other end was silent, but I had a premonition. It was Xiangling. It had to be. "Xiangling, is that you?" A sigh seemed to come from the other end of the line. "This is Xiangling's mother. My mother-in-law." Our relationship was so awkward now. I didn't know how to address her. Mother-in, Auntie, is something the matter?" "Xiao Chun, come over here." Could it be that Xiangling had forgiven me? Okay, I'll be right there. I showered at the hospital, making sure I didn't smell of disinfectant, and excitedly drove to C City. It was already past 8 p.m. when I arrived. Amidst the darkness, I saw a light. It was snowing in C City too, much heavier than in the city. My feet sank deep into the snow. I parked the car on a main road and walked down a small path into an alley. I heard someone crying. As I quickened my pace, the crying became more distinct. The snow was icy cold, deeply enveloping my feet. Each step was difficult. I stopped at the door of a house, staring blankly at a row of neatly arranged wreaths. Had I come to the wrong place? "Xiao Chen, you're here." My mother-in-law wore white paper flowers in her hair, her eyes bloodshot. Her voice was much hoarser than on the phone. I looked towards the end of the courtyard. A black and white photo was placed there. The person in the photo was smiling, sweet, and lovely. I must have been seeing things. Go see her one last time. My mother-in-law patted my shoulder and shuffled towards the end of the courtyard. My feet were stuck fast in the snow. I couldn't move forward. The cold shot from the soles of my feet to my heart, freezing my blood vessels, stopping my heartbeat. In the heavy snow, I felt someone pat my back. "Let's go," Shun Chongxian said. Su Ming, who was following behind, cried heart-wrenchingly, running all the way and kneeling beside the coffin, desperately knocking on the glass, as if this would bring the person inside back to life. It was only about 10 meters, but it took me more than 10 minutes to walk. I was afraid that I would lose my footing and collapse. She was smiling the photo, just smiling. I remember the day she said, "I'm leaving, never to return." She said, "Chen Yijing goodbye." She said it so decisively, so seriously. She was saying goodbye to me, a formal goodbye. She was wearing a pink and white dress in the crystal coffin. I remembered it was her favorite dress from our wedding. So she took it with her when she left. Her face was abnormally pale. I felt a strange familiarity with this pallor. When had I seen it before? I tried hard to recall, but images of her smiling kept flashing through my mind. Carefree, unrestrained, heartbroken, forced, and sad. "Xiang Ling, why didn't you tell me anything?" Su Ming cried out, almost insane with grief. "I also wanted to know why you never told me anything. There's one thing I've told you countless times, Chen Yijing, I love you. I love you very much. When did you ever take it to heart? When did you ever care? What does it matter if I'm dead, if I'm crippled? Besides guilt, what else do you feel?" The answer to this question had been there since 8 years ago when she decided to be with me. If I loved her, everything would have been different. She had guessed everything. Besides guilt, what else did I feel? Su Ming suddenly lunged at me, her eyes red with rage, punching me in the face again and again. "It's all because of you. It's all because of you. Chen Yijing, I hope you die a horrible death. Get out of here. Get out." Su Ming calmed down. Shun Chongxian forcefully restrained her. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth, swallowed the bitterness in my throat, and asked my mother-in-law, when did she pass? This morning, while I was desperately missing her while it was snowing. So that's why she didn't answer my call. "Can we open the coffin?" Su Ming wanted to hit me again. "Are you insane?" I said to my mother-in-law. "I have something for Xiang Ling." My mother-in-law sighed tearfully and ordered someone to open the coffin. Without the glass barrier, I could clearly see Xiang Ling's face, delicate and beautiful. I took her hand, its temperature like the icy world outside. "We saw the first snow together today. We'll be together forever. We'll be together forever." How familiar those words were. I put the ring back on her ring finger and kissed the back of her hand. I didn't throw it away. How could I bear to throw it away? Only you were foolish enough to believe that. Su Ming collapsed on the ground, her body convulsing as she wept. She asked me, "Do you know how Xiang Ling died?" "It was bone cancer." "And do you know how she got bone cancer?" "The nuclear radiation in Japan." "And have you ever thought about why she went to Japan?" "It was all because of you. Chen Yijing, it was all because of you. Shen Chongxian, you're all bastards. You knew all along, but didn't say a word. You're all a bunch of bastards." I looked at Shun Chongxian. His brows were furrowed with endless sadness. He said, "This was her last wish. November 3rd, 2000, sunny. Yesterday, I experienced something unbelievable. I was actually cornered by a group of thugs, and the reason was because I got first place in the exam. Although I thought the reason was ridiculous, I was still terrified. They also caught another girl. She was very pretty. Under their intimidation, she became their boss's woman. As for me, they beat me half to death." That guy said, "They clearly agreed on 149 slaps, but why did they start punching and kicking me later on?" In my despair, I saw a boy appear in front of me. He scared away those hooligans like a superhero. December 29th, 2000, rainy. I saw him again today. I went to the office to hand in my homework, and he was being scolded by the teacher. Thanks to that teacher, I finally learned his name was Chen Yijing. And thanks to that teacher, I also learned that my hero was in a relationship. His girlfriend was that pretty girl who was caught with me that day. I glanced at him several times, but he didn't even look at me. He must not remember me. After all, I'm so ordinary while I'm so unattractive. October 15th, 2004, sunny, windy. I have a boyfriend. His name, is Chun Yijing. Besides being happy, I also feel a bit pathetic because he said my eyes look a lot like that girl's eyes, so he wanted to be with me. No matter what, I still agreed because I liked him so much. June 27th, 2008, rainy. We graduated, and our graduation trip was to Melbourne. I knew he was going to find that woman, but I still went with him. Who knows why I'm so weak, so in love with him. Then, unsurprisingly, my heart was broken again. I dragged my groggy body out of bed, took out the half-knitted sweater from my suitcase, and unraveled it layer by layer. Falling to the floor with each layer was my despair. November 1st, 2008, sunny. I was walking down the street when someone inexplicably handed me a rose. When I couldn't hold any more in my hands, Chun Yijing's face suddenly appeared on the big screen in the square. He seemed very nervous, but still pretended to be experienced, saying in that cool tone, "Xiang Ling, marry me." I was still moved to tears by such a cliché proposal. January 10th, 2009, cloudy. On the morning of our wedding day, he actually told me he missed that woman. I burned myself with oil while making breakfast. He asked me if it hurt, and I couldn't help but burst into tears, telling him, it hurts so much. My heart hurts so much. Why? Why does he always have to hurt me like this? March 1st, 2013, sunny. We got divorced today. This wasn't the ending I wanted. April 5th, 2013, rainy. Suyin lost her baby. Chun Yijing yelled at me. He loves her so much. I didn't even bother to tell him that my baby was gone too. Our baby was gone, and my leg was crippled. He just went crazy again. I asked him if he regretted knowing me, and he said yes. I really wanted to slap him. How dare he say he regrets it? I'm the one who should regret it. That day, the first day I met him, although I was rushed to the hospital, it was too late. I had a massive uterine hemorrhage, and if it hadn't left lasting damage, how could I have had an ectopic pregnancy? He was never my hero. Every time, the one he saved first was always Su Yan. I was always the shadow, the substitute. September 20th, 2013, sunny. I can finally leave the hospital, even though I won't live much longer. December 12th, 2013, cloudy. I almost killed Su Yan today. Almost. I lost my child, my leg, my father, my family, all because of this woman. I wanted to tear her to pieces, but I'll just let her live like that, oblivious. That way, Chun Yijing will feel the pain every day when he sees her. February 6th, 2014, cloudy. The weather forecast says it will snow tomorrow. First snow, and all that is just a lie. I kept telling myself that so I wouldn't have any regrets. But I'm still looking forward to it a little. Actually, I still want to see Chun Yijing one more time, to tell him one more time that I regret falling in love with him. And then, I guess, watch the first snow. If we could go back, would you still want to be with me? Would you still want to marry me? Yes. Chun Yijing's hand caressed her right cheek, so tenderly, so earnestly. I wish I had met you even earlier. When? 11 years ago. Yes. His Adam's apple bobbed. If only I had met you 11 years ago. Chun Yijing closed the diary and stared blankly at the heavy snow outside the window. 11 years ago. He lowered his head again, stroking the worn diary, his brow furrowing slightly. You Xiang Ling, how could you be so cruel? He looked at the slightly aged wedding ring on his ring finger and buried his face in his hands in anguish.